The boys are back in town. Welcome
Whoa!
back. Welcome back to the official MWA podcast. I am your co-host, Jonathan Cole, here with one of my other co-hosts. It is Dobby. Dobby, how are you on this fantastic Sunday afternoon?
I am doing well, Colt, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fine, brother. We got a whole show to review. We got the Unleash after Extreme Chaos. Some big moments happened on this show. They
did. Of course, you can see Jacob is not with us today. He had to go in half an hour, so he just didn't hop on. So it's just the two of us today.
Yep, just the two of us. And we got to review some promos before we get on to the show. Very quick promos here. Not a whole lot in substance, if I'm being honest, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I feel like the first one we're going to talk about is just a precursor to Season 2 of God Odyssey, which tells you who it's about. The other ones were just sort of post-XC, getting their thoughts in. It wasn't a spectacular week for promos on the Discord, but I feel like it was more than made up for on the show, because it was a very promo-heavy show this week, which we'll get into a little bit later on, but I think it didn't need to be a super promo-heavy Discord week, so I'm okay with it. But yeah, we have no guests, so we don't have to ask the questions. So we can just get straight into it for once. That's surprising. But yes, that brings us on to our first promo of the week, that being Terra's, I guess this is a precursor to God Odyssey Season 2, like I said. It's The Cake is a Lie. And it sees Terra, baking a cake, or multiple cakes, I guess. Even though, at one point in it, it's Terra doesn't want to bake any more cakes, and it's I don't care, make her bake more. And I feel like this is sort of a precursor to something that we'll probably see on the show. Well, not this show, but shows upcoming, in maybe Terra is starting to not want to do stuff, and then maybe Cass is the one making her do it, I guess. That, or she doesn't want to be a extreme wrestler after the Gopody match, so the Gossamer match, sorry. But I feel like it's a very interesting way to sort of go about things, because it is obviously, I think a lot of the things with Terra's promos is obviously she does like to hint at stuff, and I think this was obviously a case of that, and for something that was, I guess, sort of an interlude in a way, between Season 1 and 2, it was an interesting little promo. It wasn't, her most spectacular work by any means. I feel like we've seen similar things before, but I think it was a good setup to not only Season 2, but just a fun little thing to see after XC, I guess, is the best way to put it. But yeah, I think it was fun. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I still think it's a visually impressive promo from Terra, by all means. It's still a good promo, but it's not one of those Gup Odysseys or any one of Terra's videos that really get your fist pumping. Yeah, this is that good shit right here. I mean, it's still good, but it's not anything to ride home about, and that's not to discredit Terra by any means necessary. These are still this is shit I probably couldn't, or I probably would be able to, but that most people wouldn't be able to replicate. But it's still really good nonetheless. She's got the whole Doki Doki Literature Club fucking vibe going on, and I really dig that shit. But it's still a pretty good promo from Terra, but I'm hoping that the next few Galp Odysseys are home runs, because I feel like that's what Terra needs to be hitting here. She needs to be hitting not even fucking home runs, but just grand slams in general.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think her on-screen work recently has been, for maybe the first time in a while, it's been better than what we've been seeing in the promos channel, which is, I'm happy with it. I'm really liking Terra's reign so far, but I also feel like a part of her character's appeal was, the Gup Odyssey stuff, and I feel like don't want to say it's been lacking, because there has been some good stuff recently, but I just feel like there is more stuff she can do now. Not only that she has a title, but that she has sort of story implications, I'm guessing, because of what we heard from a certain someone in the cold open of the show itself. So I feel like there's a lot of substance to what she could do, and like a sort of lot of things she can play off of going forward. And I know it's a lot of work, but I am hoping like even if it's in a more infrequent sense, we just get like really good episodes now. And also like sort of alluding to the fact that it is like a really good promo. It sort of plays into the fact of Tara's like weakest Cup Odysseys and like promos and stuff is usually stronger than like a lot of people's stronger promos. I feel. So like yeah, it wasn't one of her best works, but it's still like fantastic by all means. I still really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just really excited to see what we get from season 2, which is a week tomorrow. So we'll probably see the first episode that Monday, I'm presuming, and we have no idea what it's about. I am very excited to see where we go with that. But if you don't have anything to add, we can get on to our next promo.
We got the fucking Shift-Head promo! Hell
Yeah!
yeah,
How the
Shift-Head! We
fuck did
love
he get on
Shift-Head.
top of Wembley? How did he get on top of Wembley? Who let him up there?
You know that one jetpack entrance that Jimmy Sins had at Kingdom Come?
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe Jimmy like lended Schiff his jetpack, and Schiff just was able to jetpack on top of the arena.
it took him onto plane, maybe. You
Still
know,
with fans in the
maybe.
arena, by the way. Still with the fans.
Yeah, this was fresh. Bro probably did this like it's his post night one, so bro was probably just sat up there like during the Gossamer match
This
recording
this was
this.
this was during the intermission.
Yeah, what's it called? People were just like, I think it would have been a really nice touch. There was just like a song playing because like people getting drinks and shit. And then it's just on top of the fucking arena.
Yeah.
Then there's a fan view like, what the fuck is Shithead doing on top of the arena again? Kind of. But yeah, this was just like a little promo, sort of Shift talking about obviously what happened in night one where he defeated Kev. Then Kev got decapitated, but that's not so much Shift's fault. But yeah, this is just sort of Shift touching on. Obviously, it's called "Don't Meet Your Heroes," and that's just sort of what he talks about here. Obviously, he says, you know, Kev, this guy who's like a very extreme wrestler. He comes. He what's it called? He idolized him coming up. And then he got to wrestle him, and I guess he's disappointed because you know he got better of Kev. He sort of made him look like a bitch. And yeah, this was just like a very. I think it's pretty obvious now. Schiff is becoming a heel. I feel like
Yeah.
this has sort of been the catalyst, and he's going towards a heel character, which I'm very excited to see. We've not. I don't think we've seen a heel Schiff. He was meant to be a heel at first with the baseball stuff, I believe. We saw it in his like very first promo. But because he started feuding with Ultraviolet, it sort of just shifted very quickly, and he
Yeah.
became just like a baby face. So I'm very not only am I excited to see him play a heel, I'm very excited to see him play a heel as the Hardcore Prophet because
Yeah.
I think that is like a very interesting thing to do. And coming from me, the King of Extreme is actually like a very Kev centric thing. Because I started going by the King of Extreme myself after beating Kev when I retired him originally in 2018. And that character was like very much a heel for most of it. So this is something I'm like sort of familiar with in the fact that I have done it myself. So I'm very excited to see sort of where Shift takes this and sort of where he goes now with like this character and being generally a heel. And we obviously know what he has sort of on the horizon in the fact that he is in the national title tournament, which we'll cover a bit of today. And I think the plan is quite obvious, especially after you know me versus Mist. I think it's going to be Shift versus Mist, and that's sort of going to be Mist more of a baby face, and Shift going to be the heel, which is sort of they've had a few matches at this point, but that's sort of a version of that match that we've not seen it in, you know, with Shift to Hill, and I guess that's sort of a parallel to the sense of you know Avery and Feywind, whereas like Feywind was very much the heel, and then now as Avery's called Feywind out, it looks like it's going to be heel Avery versus face Feywind, and I think that's like a parallel, and I'm very excited to see how Shift does as like a proper heel now and sort of getting to actually be a heel for once. But yeah, I think this was a fun promo. It was short, sweet. I enjoyed it. What did you think, Colt?
I was gonna point out that like this promo felt very heel heavy from Schiff on his end.
Yeah,
Um I still think it's a good promo, and I'm very excited to see how like a Schiff like heel run would play out, because Schiff is like, I would feel, one of the more lovable people in the MWA. Like, it's really hard
Yeah,
to hate the guy in a way, because like
yeah, I get you.
he's just cool. This guy's just fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Like, as the baseball player, he was fucking cool. As the hardcore prophet, he's fucking cool. Like, you can't help but cheer the guy. But this promo kind
yeah,
of like sets in stone that like Shiv may be leaning towards like a heel run, like a heel turn of
yeah.
sorts. And I'm excited to see how that would play out. And I don't really have any complaints about this. I just hope that like the only thing I'm really hoping for is that Schiff utilizes this heel run, and like we get to see a lot more out of Schiff, like some new shit come out of him. Like maybe he like plays dirty during a match or something, you know what I mean?
That would be cool. Yeah, I'd really like to see that. I think that is a fun character to have with like a hardcore guy as well. Just seeing how he can sort of, like you can't really bend the rules in a hardcore match so much. But
Yeah.
I feel like having a heel tactics where you like use his weapons, like obviously you're gonna do like low blows and stuff legally, but just sort of stuff like that where he gets an advantage because of it. I think would be fun. And I feel like I'm curious to see where they go with it because, like you said, Schiff is a pretty beloved character in the MWA, and he has put his body on the line. So it's not so much as I feel like with Avery, where she's a justified heel in a sense, because everyone's like cheering Faywin now. But like Shiv has been cheered. It's not like the fans have turned against him. He has just put his body on the line. Maybe it's just a sense of he's gone so far now. He's just sort of like ruining his own life, and that's why he's becoming kind of a dick. But yeah, I'm very curious to see where this all goes generally, and sort of what big stories come out of it for Shiv. But yeah, I enjoyed this promo. I don't have too much else to add. If you don't, then we can go on to our last promo.
Loki!
This is a type one. Would you like to do the honors and read it all out, Colt?
Yep, I'm very accustomed to these text promos because this was kind of the standard in Pro Wrestling, so I'm very
We did
used
a
to
lot of this
these.
in 2K as well. Like a lot of the Discord promos were typed, and maybe that's why I'm like so like worn out with them. That sounds like a firework. Yeah, that's why I'm probably so worn out of them because like I saw so many of them in 2K. But yeah, go ahead and read it out.
Alright. 3 days have passed since Extreme Chaos 9. 3 days, and I still felt it. That rage, boiling underneath my skin. That disgust, knowing I was robbed of a successful mission. Not by Aliku, no, he was done. He was finished, but by you, Wolf. You inserted yourself into something you didn't understand. You didn't save him, Wolf. You prolonged him. Because Aliku walks today only because you couldn't stay out of my crosshairs. As for you, Aliku, the kill list does not forget. I do not forget. And when I come back for you, it won't be swift. It won't be silent. It'll be the end of every illusion you've ever lived in. But make no mistake, this isn't over. Because when the right time comes, both of you, Aliku and Wolf, will regret ever stepping in the way of the survivor. I don't need a match. I only need an opportunity. And when that moment comes, I will finish what Extreme Chaos failed to stop. Nobody escapes the kill list.
Ah. Yeah, you can start off with thoughts.
This is a good promo. I like it. You know, it's short but it's sweet. It gets its point across.
Yeah,
Koloki's still mad at Aliku. He's still mad at Chef. He wants his revenge. He wants to kill Aliku. Aliku's on the fucking kill list. Wolf is also on that kill list. I would be, led to believe. But
yeah, that makes sense.
you know, I always have said that like Koloki is a top 2 character on the server. Him and
Yeah,
Tara. I've said that 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more times, but I really like the direction of where Koloki's character is headed, and this promo is kind of like one of those examples of why like this character is doing a lot of wonders for a guy like Koloki. Um,
yeah,
I just have no complaints about it. It's a fine promo, Uh,
yeah. I agree.
you know, I mean, obviously we know that fucking Unleashed. He calls out another person in
Yeah,
their family that is not stated in this promo right here. So it looks like
it's
he's
not no.
multitasking with a lot of the people on the kill list.
Yeah, I feel like that could come back to be like a sort of detriment of the character, in the fact that he sort of like gets tied up and then maybe it sort of like comes to a like head where multiple people sort of like corner him, and then like he goes out fighting, but he just sort of is. He picks a fight with too many people, and he sort of fucks around and finds out, I guess, which would be a funny thing to see.
Loki kills
But
off his character because he gets into a gunfight with multiple MWA roster members on the fucking kill list. Like,
that's
there's
the
just
most Loki way to kill your character off.
he just no. It's like that one scene in Scarface, right at the fucking end of Scarface, where like Tony Montana's getting shot at by like a bunch of guys, but like he's like really high off of fucking cocaine, and he's like nobody get, and he's like come on. Get at me! Get at me! They're like fucking shooting at him and he won't die. But then like this one fucking guy in a trench coat and glasses like comes sneaking up behind him with like a shotgun and then like fucking shoots him and Tony Montana falls into a fucking like pool down below and that's just like the end of Scarface. That should be like Loki's death. He should die the
That
same
is
way as
so
Tony
Loki.
Montana. Just like fucking do a bunch of like do a bunch of coke and then just fucking like go out like fucking guns blazing and then he like fucking dies because like somebody shoots him like right from behind with a shotgun. That's like the most Loki
That
way to kill. To like
that would be
fucking
so
die.
based.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think that'd be like so funny to like if that like person shooting him from behind was either a Liku, because that's just a funny sight, or like Ult, because obviously the Ultimate guys, you know, he sort of is the reason Loki is after a Liku. And Ult's just like, fuck's sake, why are you such a dick now? And he kills him. No, but yeah, I think this is a good promo, don't get me wrong, but I am very much in the boat of I think this promo would have been better if it was spoken, just because you would have got the sort of like tones and the emotion of a voice promo.
Yeah.
I think the substance of it was good. I liked reading it, but like I said, I think it sort of is hard to portray the emotion in the sense of like you are reading it yourself and you can't always sort of tell what they're going for, I suppose. But I do generally get the idea he's going for here, and I'm very curious to see, like you said, if he's sort of multitasking it, or if he does say when the time comes, right? So I'm presuming he will deal with, excuse me, who he mentions on Unleashed first, and then maybe he'll come back to it. Maybe not like right after, but maybe down the line. I don't know. But yeah, I'm very curious to see sort of where he goes with this now, and there is one thing about Loki's character that I'm sort of debating a lot, and it's Loki is someone I feel like he can afford a lot of losses because he's just this batshit character. But also, I think as a guy who has been a XC main eventer and a Rumble winner, he does deserve more, I guess. Like I do like that he's sort of with what's mentioned on Unleashed, he is getting to work with someone newer. But I also do feel like Loki has been proven to be like a very valuable asset in the main event scene. So I feel like seeing him sort of drop off is a little bit unfortunate, I guess. But I feel like I don't know like what the future plans for the character is and if he's going to build back up or whatever. But I feel like he should probably at some point. And this was something I think I said it on the podcast when he first came back was I was kind of worried about where Loki would fit in to the roster. And I feel like he sort of has just settled at like a mid-card level now, I guess. But which is not to say it's like a bad thing. But it's like I feel like he could be doing a lot more, and I'm sort of hoping that he gets like an actual proper storyline sometime down the line where it sort of, you know, alludes more to the fact that this guy was a main eventer of XC. You know, he did come up short, but he still was like a massive threat for the world title, and he's just sort of fallen down a few pegs from that, which I think is unfortunate. But no, I think this is fun. I'm very curious to see, like I said, what happens with the Unleashed stuff. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything to add before we get on to the show itself?
No, not at all. I mean, you know, we'll discover Loki more later in the show.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that brings us on to the show, sort of, because we have a cold open again. This goes through a hospital, and it's all the people in the gospel match who are not Cass and Tara, I believe. Like, I know they weren't there, but I don't think anyone else was missing from it. I can't remember. I was also disconnected during this because my OBS was being fucky. But I was listening. So we had I'm trying to think of the order. It was Vox first, I think, with the book in his
Yeah,
hands.
Vox.
And
Yeah,
he's
he was
like,
on his bed. He had a Man of the Moment in hand. He was like, "Oh, hey there. I'm just I'm reading
yeah.
Man of the Moment."
Yeah, then it was Kyle?
Uh, I th
Breezy, it was Breezy.
Yeah, Breezy, Breezy.
Yeah, Breezy.
He had
He had a
a
fucking
Stella.
Molson.
I think he had Stella
No,
in hand. Was it
it
Stella?
was Molson Canadian.
Oh, Morrison. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he had it in hand. He tried to drink it, but he couldn't. It couldn't go down his throat.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's funny. He got a little brief promo on Saints as well. He's like, "You want to run away? Fine. I'll be running the SES, but I'm doing it my way. No more
He
blah blah
gave
blue
it to
blue."
you. He said in a promo he'd give it to
Yeah,
you.
why are you being a dick? He's like, "You're my right hand man. Hold the fort down." He's like, you're running away. You're a
He's
cowardly
acting like that
man now."
promo never fucking happened.
Yeah, did bro get hit too hard on the head there? I'm very
Yeah.
confused. I think that was probably the weakest part of this whole thing, for me, because like you just sort of countered Saints' point. But
Yeah.
I digress. It was fine. Then we move on to Tim. I think it was Tim next. I
Timmy!
can't. Tim, and then Tim's just like walking around the room. Is like, "Hey, I'm on with Uber support. Can you go to someone else?" And the camera just stays there, and he keeps pacing. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm on with Uber support." I feel like they weren't meant to stay there for that long, so Tim just sort of had to say it again till they moved on. But that was like classic funny. Tim has been on it with promos this week.
Oh my god.
The BPW one. We don't mention BPW a lot, but the fucking promo with Kenny Ritzway, he's just like, "Aw," and then Kenny just sort of goes on a little tirade, and he's like, "No,
Nuh-uh.
that shit cracked me up so bad."
God,
Um,
Tim, Tim's improving very slowly, and it's
Tim is
really
getting,
great to see. It's
yeah,
really fucking great to
he's
see.
so
What do you
good.
think Tim's like getting on Uber? Like, if he's probably getting like Uber Eats right now. What do you think he's getting?
Well, he said Uber support, so maybe they couldn't like deliver to the
Oh, what do you think he was
hospitals.
trying to order?
Tim Tim feels like a chicken fan to me. Like Tim likes chicken.
Yeah, he's getting the chicken nuggets from fucking
Yeah,
like
but one of
from
his
like a downtown
nuggets,
Wendy's.
but they wouldn't deliver to the hospital, so he's like trying to call
Yeah.
support. That's law. Then we get Kyle Cordova. I genuinely can't remember what he said. He was like, I think he was annoyed, and he was like, "I've got to face Slick of all people. Oh, fuck's sake." That's about all I remember from this one. I don't remember too much of what he said here. Just generally that he was alluding to, the Slick match in the national title tournament. Which I think, maybe controversially, I think Kyle's going to win that. I feel like someone's going to cost Slick. Probably not me, because if
Yeah, it's gonna be
if it
you. You're
was me,
spoiling
then
your own plans right
I
now.
was going to say then I'd
Cassidy.
be spoiling it. But I
Cassidy.
don't think it would be me, because I think XE was a great enter. But I think Kyle. I think this is going to be sort of a new people uprising story in the national thing, because obviously we see with Mist later on. And I think that's sort of the general story of this. Is the new wave sort of get that push. But it was fine from Kyle, and then that gets us on to Vinny, I believe, Hironaka.
Yep, Vinny. No Cass in this
Yeah,
promo. Before we get into Vinny, there's no fucking
yeah.
Cass here because I think
That,
Cass is
that's
like,
just because Cass is not
yeah,
here, so
yeah,
she
she's
can.
not here. So, yeah, she's somewhere else. Wait,
Hi, Cass. I hope
y
you're having a good time visiting your family.
yes, we hope you're having a great time. But when Cass does come back, what do you think her explanation will be?
What for? Like why she wasn't in the hospital?
Yeah,
Or
why she wasn't like in the hospital at all? Like, where do you think she is right now in kayfabe?
I feel like she's at home, sort of reflecting on stuff. Or she'd gone to like a really bougie hospital. Um,
Yeah,
and
we'll
like
see this on
she's
the
like
next
too.
Violet's Tale.
Yeah, she's like, I'm too good for this public hospital. I'm going to this private one. That, or she just went home to reflect on everything. And obviously she has mentioned going into her own little world like Terra. I feel like that just sort of lends itself to like being out of the spotlight for a moment and sort of being in a weird daze. I
Yeah.
feel like that sort of explains it well. But that's my theory. What's yours? What's your theory? Where is she?
Uh, she's in another dimension right now. She is in another dimension
Yeah.
doing Cassidy things that we'll see on the next episode
Cassidy.
of Violet's Tale. Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah. Cassidy was in the Nether during this show. She was trying to crash the server.
Yeah, just like a certain
Certain
individual,
person who
certain
will not.
ginger.
Yeah, a certain one we will not name on the podcast. But you know who we will name on the podcast? Hironaka, because he was up next,
That's my
and he
boy.
and he was the focal point of this. This was pretty much Hironaka feat other people, because he had like a big promo here, and he signed himself out of the hospital. Yay! And he was obviously alluding to, you know, him and Terra. You know, they were like the final two sort of involved in the Gossamer match at XC. And he was still angry, you know. He sort of has something to still settle with Terra, I suppose, is the way he was phrasing it here. I think it was a generally good promo. I'm curious in the sense of presuming that match happens maybe at like 12 year. Um, like how that will go in like a one-on-one context, and I think that'll be a fun little story. The only thing I sort of had a problem with here was the weird little tribute to the Omega line. I don't know why that was needed. Um, it was kind of weird to me.
Oh yeah, I know which one you were talking about.
He paraphrased. I can't remember his exact wording. It was like he fucked it up as well. I think he said like, "I'm gonna make jaywalking look like domestic terrorism," and it's like that's A, not the right way round. B, why are you like paying tribute to an Omega line of all
I
things?
don't think he was like trying to like pay tribute or something. I think he was trying to like reword it around. Like I remember it wasn't like it was something along the lines of forget what I said. I was trying to remember the line.
Yeah. So generally, this was like I think this was fine, and he sort of he sort of just like alludes to wanting terror. I believe I cannot remember the substance because, like I said, I was like just getting back on because my OBS fucked up. But yeah, he says sayonara because he leaves. It was interesting. I think this is like a really creative way to sort of get everyone on the show, explain like a lot of the absences we had on this show as well. Um, I think this generally was like a lot of fun, and it was a funny little thing for a cold open. I think it was a good idea. I enjoyed it. But yeah,
Yeah, good
maybe.
stuff from Vinny. Good stuff from everybody. I would say, even if some of them were like really short, sweet, and like quick. Like I think like everyone got their shit in. Everyone got their like characters in. So yeah, good cold open
Yeah.
here, I would say.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't have anything else to add really. I think it was fine. Do you have anything to add before we get on to the actual opening of the show?
Let's get on with the actual opening of the show because we're kicking
Yeah.
off with the brand new MWC World Spotlight
Yeah.
Champion, motherfucking Junkyard Dog, Doppel.
My dip.
And he's
This is my
finally using
buddy.
Starman as a full-time theme. He's not fucking
Yeah,
using Jim Croce anymore.
that was a nut request actually.
He's a
Which is a
Starman.
fun fact about this video that I think Steve pointed out in the theme player channel. The thumbnail for Doppel's intro cut is the Queen Elizabeth.
I don't have access to that
which is
fucking
quite
channel
funny.
anymore.
Yeah, I'm still in here. I hope
Fuck.
Nook doesn't
I gotta
move it
ask
because
Nook
I
for
kind of
permission again.
yeah I kind of like having it for like BPW and stuff. But yeah, the thumbnail is just Queen Elizabeth, which is really funny. That's a bit like I get from Doppel.
Actually, I want to get off
But
topic real
not
quick. I want to
important.
get a quick off topic
Hello.
before we move on. So I
Lovely.
don't know if you know this, but there was like a Peppa Pig game, right? And there's a part where you go to Queen Elizabeth and you like visit her, and once you get done with
Yeah.
that scene, like after it like on the screen will just show like a memoriam, like
I've
in
seen that,
oil to like
yeah.
fucking Queen Elizabeth,
Yeah, I've seen
which is
that
like the
before.
funniest shit ever.
Well done for completing our whistle stop tour around London.
Yeah, so this sort of like is just Doppel, you know, stating there. Doppel's had like a very strange career in the sense of, you know, they had the year away. A lot of their career they were sort of a tag person. Obviously they were in, I believe they were Ascension Tag Team Champions with Harsh called the Rebellion. And then obviously they were the Young Guns with Jasper. So like a lot of Doppel's career they've been sort of linked to a tag team in some way. And I feel like this run has sort of become, you know, Doppel getting their flower. I see it sort of akin to like a B-dubs in the sense of they were like tied down to the tag division for like such a long time. But now they're finally getting their chance to thrive as like a top champion outside of a team. Well, obviously they're a Smile, but like, I mean, more so out like they're getting their singles push still. And I think that was like seen a lot here, and I feel like that is B Dubs also, I believe, is like a big fan of Doppel, as he said on a few times. And obviously they are like big characters, and I sort of see the parallels there. But like this is just sort of a feel good little promo from Doppel, and then obviously I was there as well. You know, I had my broken hand, I was bruised and battered, and this just sort of it was a little feel good moment between student and teacher in the fact that that was from Nux request. We sort of had a little lore drop in there. That I met Doppel when they were 16. They came all the way from Scotland to London with the last of their money. And in response, because obviously they had no money and they were 16, so they couldn't really get a job. In like response, in like there was basically a trade of, in Doppel, what's it called, got free training from me. And got to like stay in the back of the dojo, and in response they'd like clean up, they'd set up class, and that's how Doppel got their start in the industry. And then obviously when they started working shows, they had sort of an income, and then that's when they got their apartment, they made it to Ascension, and that's sort of when their career took off. And that was sort of described a bit here. But there was one line I worked in here it was to pop like a few people, you know, Tara, Nat, Jacob, and Taco all popped for it. There was one point in the promo where I was like, Doppel is the youngest person ever to come through my academy. And I don't know if you know the video that's referencing that's been like floating around on TikTok. Where it's like that kid on, I think Canada's Got Talent. And they're like, what is your name? And then he gets cut off. And it's like, how old are you? I'm 4 years old. You're the youngest person ever.
I think I've seen that, so yeah, I
Yeah,
got that right.
that's
Like
become
now
like a
that you
big
mention it, yeah, I know what you're talking
yeah.
about. Yeah.
That's become like a big meme, like between a few of us, and it like popped so many people. And I was trying so hard not to crack up after delivery because Tara DM'd me and she was like, "Fuck you," and then Taco also DM'd me and he was like, "Hey," and I was like trying my hardest not to just fucking burst out laughing. But I just wanted to work that line in there because I think it would have been really funny. But no, yeah, this was like a fun little promo to get to do. You know, me and Doppel, obviously, that is one of my best friends in the community, and it is. I did like bring Doppel back in, like way back in the day. Just sort of, I'd known Doppel prior to like them being in MWA. Tara just messaged me as well. That was weird timing. Let's see. Can I say this without it being a spoiler? Oh, it was just in response to something I sent her earlier. She just said, "Holy shit!" But yeah, no, Doppel and I obviously we have a strong bond as we've seen on MWA. But yeah, as Doppel goes to speak, out comes Faywin with a brand new look,
And a
blonde
new
now,
theme song. He doesn't use
and a new
fucking
theme.
Voodoo People by the Prodigy anymore.
Yay! I'm glad. I'm not a massive fan of that song. I quite like this new song. I think it gives a very like New Japan vibe to me.
Yeah.
It's I think it's either Persona or hang on, I can actually check because he sent the link in the group chat. If you bear with me now for a moment, I have so many group chats to like wade through. Doppel versus Feywind. It's from that weirdly Yakuza. That was it. Yeah.
Oh my god, him
Um.
and fucking Vinny.
Yeah. Wolf probably loves this theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes out, new theme, new look, new general vibe about him. You know, he comes out. He's like, yeah, I really wanted to actually apologize, Doppel. You know, that hug, everything feels right this time. Now.
We're on a streak.
Yeah, he sort of comes out and he's like, he just sort of apologizes. You know, he is trying to overturn. He's trying to turn a new leaf, and he apologizes to me. But you know, Dobby not as receptive to it at first. Avery brings it up later as well, but like Dobby is the only one to sort of point out the fact that, you know, Feywind, he changed on a dime, I suppose, because he had just had this brutal match with Doppel, and then immediately after the match it like shifted like that, and like he hugged Doppel. But Dobby, you know, who's been sort of tormented by Feywind for months now, and had Faywin say he wants to ruin friendships. He's not as quick to trust Faywin, especially considering Faywin's sort of done this with his best friend, and it's like he could just be trying to get in to like hurt us even more, I guess. And obviously we have seen him teaming with Slick a bit as well. So it's like I don't know that like Feywind is sort of in the right in kayfabe, and I feel like Dobby is still suspicious of him, even though this ends with the handshake. That's more of a Dobby doing it out of service to Doppel than him trusting Feywind, like I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was a good little feel good moment, when we shook hands. Doppel hugged both of us, and it's like Doppel finally got their moment with true friends, no slickbait in the fold,
We
and it was just
fucking
it was
hate
just
Slickbait.
we fucking hate slickbait. This was just like a little good actual opening for the show, I guess. And it was fun. I really enjoyed this. I had a great time being a part of it. But yeah, what did you think as an outside viewer, Colt?
I thought this was a good promo from all of you. I like Doppel's portion. I like your portion. I like Faywin's portion. I think all of this makes sense. I think the dynamic between you three makes sense here with, you and Doppel being best buddies. You're kind of like fucking Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, the best friends.
Ooh,
Just better.
I see that. Yeah, we're good. We're the
Yeah.
best.
I think the dynamic between Doppel and Phelan, like, now, like, putting all their shit aside, saying, like, yeah, let bygones be bygones, but then, like, you're right there saying, no, 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 I still think you're a bad person, Phelan, you're a fucking asshole. And then he's like, well, I just wanted to change. I hope that, we can move past all this, and that, I could be a good person finally. And then, you guys, like, reluctantly handshaking, and then Doppel's right there
Yeah,
to like hug both of you and be like, "Yeah, best friends, best friends." I
it
really
was
like
a
that
little.
dynamic between you three. So yeah, I would
Yeah,
have no complaints about this promo. The only thing that the funny thought is like the thought of Faywin like joining Smile is like the
that'd be
funniest thought in the world. I don't know why, but like Faywin like replacing Slick is like the third man, and Smile is like a really funny thought for some reason.
the replacement of Slick the Feywind is going from coughing baby to
Hydrogen bomb.
exactly, yeah. But yeah, no, I love this dynamic. I think this is a lot of fun. I feel like part of why in the kayfabe Dobby accepted the handshake, not only because he wanted to make Doppel happy, but also the fact that when called out, Faywin didn't just sort of go ultra defensive. He just sort of accepted that he's had these mistakes, and he sort of apologized for it. And I feel like that took Dobby off guard a little bit, and he's like, maybe there is something there. Like obviously he doesn't still fully trust him, but like maybe he's like, okay, we'll see if he truly does go on like a good path, and then maybe we can sort of revisit that down the line and bury that all once and for all. But I think it was a fun dynamic, and I'm very excited, and hopefully we get to explore it a little bit more down the line. But yeah, I had fun. I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything to add before we get on to our first match of the night?
Good opener here. Good opening promo, but also pretty good opening match from these two, Adam and
Yeah.
Steve. Actually, no, let me redo that. Steve.
The captain. That was a good one. That was a good Steve. Yes, this is Atom versus Steve, round one, the first match of the national title tournament, which we mentioned a few times now. This was the quarterfinals. It was a slash D Atom because Atom spilled coffee on his MacBook, and that was sad. That was referenced in the match as well, which caught me.
Yeah, we fucking referenced that on commentary.
Yeah,
too, which is like the funniest shit in the world.
that shit cracked
Like
me up.
it sucks that that app happened to Adam, but I didn't want to like reply to him and like automatically or like just like be like real quick to like make a joke because I think he'd like snap back at me and like yell at me, which
Yeah,
I really didn't want. But like, you know, I remember like when he posted in the IRL chat, like I was like hesitating on like something to say instead of like, damn, that sucks, because I wanted to like say some shit like, well, did you turn on your computer? Did you try turning it on? Did you try plugging it in?
you try turning it off and on again.
Yeah. Did you try apologizing to it, or did you try disciplining it?
Did you try shaking its hand? It worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
anyway,
It was unfortunate, yeah.
Good match this was. Good match. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably the match I have least to say. Well, there is a squash, but like, I feel like generally speaking, the matches tonight were kind of lacking in my opinion. I feel like, maybe egotistical. I feel like the only one with some real substance to it was me versus Mist. Just in the fact that we had the unfortunate slash D of Atom, and then the other one was a squash, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a fine match. It was. I feel like Slick was a little bit lost, which I think was clear, and it sort of made it a bit unfortunate. But it wasn't a bad match per se. I did like the finish though in rocket kick from Steve. You know, alluding to Kev. He was also wearing a Kev shirt in this match,
Yeah.
because he misses his buddy. He's not dead. He's just retired now.
Yeah, he's in the retirement home now. Probably doing some like
Mm.
fucking crazy shit. He's still taking bumps off of like the roof of the fucking retirement home.
Kev is such a silly guy. That's my buddy. I love Kev. I was talking to him last night.
Kev Dog One. I was
Kev
trying to get him
Dog
on the
1.
podcast, but he's always fucking busy on Sundays.
He's always working on Sundays.
Yeah.
Always.
The moment
It's
he's free
pain.
on a Sunday. The moment he's free on a fucking Sunday, we're getting him on the pod. I don't
We
care if he's
need
watched
it.
the show. He just needs to like talk.
Yeah, we just need the Kev pod.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match was fine. I really don't have anything to say if I'm being honest. It was fine. It was alright.
Yeah.
Do you have
It was
anything
your
to
average
say?
unleashed match.
It was a average unleashed match.
It was fine. It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Steve is gonna, have some really good matches in this tournament.
Yeah.
I think I've always said it about Steve. I think a lot more people need to give him his flowers because like that man can fucking go. Steve is
Steve
one of
can
the
go.
greatest ever in my opinion. Like I've only been here for like over a year now, but like if I had to put a top 5, if I had to make a list of the top 5 people ever from like who I've seen live and in person, Steve's gonna be on that list. He's gonna be in my top 5 ever.
So yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah,
goated
Steve
like
is
that.
super
He's
good.
fucking top 10 white boy of all time.
He is top 10 white boy. I love you, Steve.
We love
He
Steve
doesn't.
on
I
this
don't think
podcast.
he only listens. Actually, he does listen to podcasts only for his own shit. Hello, Steve. We love you.
We love you, Steven.
I love Steve. Steve is great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this was solid stuff. It was okay. Average unleashed
Yeah.
match. Not really much to comment on. These two were fighting for the #1 contendership for my title because up next
Yeah.
I come out and I cut a great promo according to
And you got a new
people.
theme.
Also, yeah, I keep bomb checks, so yeah, no more fucking House of the Rising Sun. You're not getting that
I'm
anymore.
sad about that.
Yeah.
I think Doppel said it after. That should become a big match theme. I think that is the
Maybe.
perfect big match theme.
Maybe.
But
Extreme
I
Title?
actually
I don't know.
maybe. I actually really like this as a theme though. I think I just think you have like good taste. I think honestly for me, maybe controversially, I think this is better than Mississippi Queen was. I prefer this to Mississippi Queen. But
That's
no,
so
I think
funny
this
that
is
you say that because I think I've also said to you before that I was talking to Nuck and VC like I think it was like late night and it was like hours before Retribution and I asked him what his thoughts were on like using Mississippi Queen as a theme and he told me that like Mississippi Queen was a better theme than House of the Rising Sun, which like
I disagree with
he's
that.
probably like the only person in that boat I would say that would
Yeah.
say that, but
I don't hate Mississippi Queen, but I think out of all your themes, it is my least favorite.
I mean, I get that because it's like, if you were to ask people in Pro Wrestling what my best theme would be, it probably would be Mississippi Queen because it's like, I've used that for a while in Pro Wrestling, and
Yeah.
it's just a very iconic theme. I would say for someone like me, like if you were in Pro Wrestling, like,
Yeah,
but I
I
think
get
the
you.
theme fit the character at the time, but like
Yeah.
not
See that.
anymore because I'm not that like egotistical, brash,
Yeah.
loudmouth.
Content for it.
Yeah, I'm not that guy anymore, but
Yeah,
for
I
the
see that.
character it fit so much.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know. I feel like there is that sort of thing of, generally a theme becoming iconic with someone, even if it is like not to say Mississippi Queen's not a good song. I think it's a very good song. It's just the fact of like, if something's linked to someone, it just sort of has that memory attached, I guess. Like for a lot of the older people in MWA, I used Not Gonna Die for like 5, 6 years, so obviously that became synonymous with me. But obviously Zombie is like leaps and bounds better as a song generally. But I feel like there is probably people out there who still think Not Gonna Die when they think of Dobby. And I feel like that's fine, you know, it's sort of, it is just a sort of link to the character. And it's not so much a comment on what is a better song, I suppose. But yeah, no, I feel like I think it's a great theme. I think it definitely fits your character. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm like, I was very happy to see sort of you playing the face here, and not to say I didn't expect you to do well as a face, but you like really worked the crowd well here, and I think it was a fantastic promo. You know, you were like very energetic. It was like very cool seeing sort of you be on the side of the fans for once, and I think it was. I was iffy when I saw you going face at first, but I feel like
I was also iffy
just
becoming a face first. I can't say this out loud, I think, but this show would have been the show I like turn heel again. You know, I just like disown the crowd and say fuck you, you know, all that shit. I was originally like not supposed, because I at first like I didn't want to do the face shit because like I was really content with being like a heel, but then I was
yeah
kind of like, yeah, we might have to like do the face shit like long run, and I had to like suck it up and kind of like, because what Nuck wanted me to do was kind of like step out of my comfort zone a little bit with like being a face, and you know, I would hope that like this promo was good. I'm not gonna like, give like any thoughts on it because like this was like on the fly. I just like tried my
yeah
best to like be a baby face, so I hope that like this was a great promo to like a lot of you, which, you know, the feedback was like, you know, unanimously saying like, yeah, this was a really great promo from you, Colt. So like, I'm really happy that like a
yeah
lot of you really liked this promo from me. So that's all I'm really
yeah.
happy about at the end of the day.
No, yeah, I think that's fair. Obviously, it is always so hard changing to an alignment you're not used to. Because I was actually in the same boat. You know, Dobby the character, he's been a heel like in kayfabe for like 4 to 5 years, and that's sort of why Jacob is like so like he hates Dobby so much is because, you know, he saw that heel Dobby for like 4 to 5 years. The only like real proper face run I've had is this run. Um, so like this was sort of my first, not to say like my first like introduction to being a face, because obviously I had brief ones with like the father, but that's a drastically different character. But this is like my first super like big run as a face, and obviously, you know, to reach a world title as a face, I think it sort of proves to me that maybe I am just a better face than like a heel than I like thought I was. But no, yeah, I feel like it's always scary to make that jump to a new alignment, but I think you've settled into it so well. I feel like it's sort of become like a nice mellow way in the fact of it was sort of introduced in an off-screen way, I suppose, in the sense of you weren't doing it in front of crowds for a while because you had the whole looking for Sandy stuff, and that was not in front of a crowd. So you sort of didn't have that interaction, and obviously we did see a few like little slip-ups, you know, like when you threaten the store worker and stuff like that. I feel like that is just logistics from a heel going to a face. But I think this promo was like a great first proper like face promo introduction. And then obviously what comes of EQ when EQ comes out and sort of grovels and begs for a title shot. You say no, and then EQ's like, fuck this, I quit. This was also like a great promo from that, other than, you know, the technical difficulties.
Yeah, this is like,
Where the mic just
it's so
disappears.
funny too because like I was having those technical issues in our Extreme Chaos match, and now EQ is having technical issues with like their promo. So like, it's really funny, like seeing that like
Few of the technical
drastic like,
difficulties.
yeah, I don't know how to word
Yeah.
it, but like, yeah, it's just really funny.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. But no, this was like a good promo. I just think like the dynamic here of like, you know, EQ comes out, you say no, you hold your ground, and then you sort of like wave them out. No, 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 no. Hey, goodbye.
Yeah, I was given instructions to do
As
that. So
yeah,
I did
as
it
like
well.
You did it well. As EQ like leaves, I think it was just a great send off. Presuming this is like EQ's leaving, I don't know if this is like a work or like a shoot, but if this is EQ leaving, either way, I hope it is just sort of the end of your guys' feud, because I think the match itself was like the good ending, and then EQ walking out on the company and Colt sort of getting to stand tall. Excuse me, was just like a great end to the feud. And also I want to mention the fucking banger line you said at the end of it when you're like, EQ, when you get to hell, tell him John Colt sent you.
Oh yeah,
Banger.
I thought of
Great
that
way
line
to
like
end
as
that.
EQ was like cutting their promo, because I remember I got it from okay, so I'm trying to remember the fucking name of the YouTube channel, but like they do like fucking voiceover dubs, like parody videos with like images and fucking like impact font shit, and they were doing like this one with like Yogi Bear, and like the scenario was like he was getting in the cryptocurrency, and then like Ranger Smith comes in and he's like, Yogi, are you using all the park's power? He's like, I'm smarter than the average investor. And then like Ranger Smith is like, well, you gotta pay the park back. So Yogi Bear like tells Boo Boo to get out of there, and Ranger Smith is like, well Yogi, what's it gonna be? And Yogi's like, well, Ranger Smith, when you go to hell, tell him Yogi sent you. So I was thinking of that in my head the entire time. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna twist that into my own line. And then yeah, I thought I delivered it really well. I thought I was gonna like stumble over it like a bitch, but I think I held my ground there. So I'm really happy for myself.
Hell yeah. I feel like if we do like another goofy thumbnail this week, we have so much fucking stupid shit to add to it now. We got fucking Yogi Bear, we got Uber support. What else have we got? We got there was something else we mentioned earlier that was like really Peppa Pig and Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
We have so much stupid shit to add to this thumbnail. But no, yeah, this is like a really good promo from you. I think it was like a really nice dynamic. I love the dynamic you have with Nat. And I think this was like a really cool send off. We forgot to mention, by the way, EQ was fucked up here.
Yeah,
Like
EQ looked so
swollen eye,
fucked here.
wheelchair, like body bandaged. Eye was covered. EQ probably looked worse than me. No, definitely looked worse than me here, and that was just like from you using your fist. Obviously, I fell off the stage, but that was just you bludgeoning EQ at XC. But yeah, this was like a great end to this sort of storyline, and it was a feel good moment for Colt. And obviously, there's only so much you can do right now, considering we know your challenge is currently in the midst of being decided.
Yeah.
So there's not so much you can do to build a feud right now. But I think this was like a good little passing of the time and sort of getting to know Face Cult a bit more. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Do you have anything to add from cutting the promo side before we get into our next thing?
Like I said, I just cut this on the fly, so I'm really hoping that this was I was just kind of hoping that like people would like fuck with the promo, and yeah, a lot of people
Yeah,
really liked it. So at the end of the day, I'm fucking happy with it.
fuck yeah, that's what we love to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that brings us on nicely to our next match. Um, Kaloki versus Doc Matala.
Doc fucking
What the
Matala, the man
fuck?
who got removed from the fucking Hall of Fame because he sucked.
He did. I I was, as someone who was there briefly for Doc in MXW, this was so fucking funny. Um, I feel like you probably saw it in second chat when this was not playing Doc, of course.
Yeah.
He was chanting Lachua. That was not a misspelling. That was an actual like bit back in the day. I don't remember the context of it because it was pre my time. But there was, I think it comes from like a old indie. I don't know if it was ran by Doc or if he was just part of it. Um, I don't know if that was the thing or if it was just him in MXW where he misspelled it. But Lachua was like a huge meme on the server for like years and years. And that said, aforementioned MaskFed was like where a lot of the meme characters we've seen over the years that you've probably seen a few of now, sort of came through. You know, you had Les L, which I don't know who Les L was. You had El Huawei, which was alt. And then obviously Doc was like a real person, but I think he was also in that Fed. But yeah, it was just Lachua was like a big meme, and that sort of popped the old head in me seeing him chant it. Doc is. I don't remember anything about Doc. I'm going to be honest with you. All I remember was I want to say Heatwave 2018. Doc lost a mask versus something match, and he just like unmasked, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, he's handsome." Um, and then I think he had like a little bit more, like maybe one more feud on the show before he sort of dipped. And I don't think we really heard from Doc much after that. And it's been years at this point. So this was just like a funny little thing to see. Doc was also like a big tag team player, I believe. I believe he was in The Real Deal with Bobby, who people know more of because he was in Ascension as well. But that was a side tangent for those who don't know about Doc Matala. He was not like a he was sort of a serious guy who's become a meme now, in the sense of like I'm trying to think of like a very niche like say if not even Sim Brooks, he was like way too irrelevant in the context
He
of
only
this.
lasted like a fucking month, so it's
He did. I'm trying to think of like who was around in Socks the Ferret. Say Socks the Ferret was like becomes like a meme later on. That's the best equivalent I can give for like take off people. But anyway, side tangents. Kaloki comes out and he fucking murders him in a minute because it was just a little squash match. And then Kaloki grabs the mic. Who does he call out? None other than Tim Smith, who is still probably on the phone with Uber support. Um, but what's it called? Yeah, this caught me so off guard. I was not expecting him to call out Tim of all people. Not only did he call out Tim, though, he called out Tim's entire family. I don't remember the exact names. All I remember is he calls out Sparky the dog, and Tim's father, professionally known as Ivar of the Viking Raiders.
oh my god, that was
Which
that's
that's the greatest lore drop ever.
Tim Smith's father being fucking Ivar of the Viking Raiders. It makes a whole lot sense because I feel like it makes a whole lot of fucking sense, honestly. Like I know that sounds crazy, but like knowing what Tim likes in wrestling, I feel like, that's gonna make a whole lot more fucking sense when you like
Yeah,
consider the fact that like Tim's a big fan of WWE, watches only WWE, and like the only other
yeah.
type of wrestling like Tim watches is like fucking AEW, but only for like Big Boom AJ.
I'm telling you, the way we get Tim Smith to like expand their horizons is showing them fucking like New Japan War Raiders. That's how we're gonna get them to expand their horizons. Um,
Get a 6-man
but
tag
no,
team: Tim Smith and the Viking Raiders versus Koloki and
hell
like 10 other
yeah,
people. No,
that's
Koloki
peak.
and the Cheetahs. That's the fucking match.
Hey,
Fucking
that's peak.
Tim
Need
Smith and
that.
the Viking Raiders versus Koloki and his 2 cheetahs in a 6-man tag next week in 2 weeks time on Unleashed.
Yeah, fucking Tim Smith, his dad, and his non-blood uncle in Eric.
That's gonna be
Um,
fucking awesome.
that's peak. Not better book that shit. But no, this is nuts. He just calls out the entire family. He calls out Tina Smith. BPW, not legend, but was on BPW. This is really funny. I'm just excited to see Tim get an actual storyline, and with Koloki, Koloki's one of the most dependable workers we have on the roster. So I'm just like really excited to sort of see where that goes now.
Koloki's gonna cook up some fucking crazy shit for this feud. I know
He's
he's
gonna do
already
some
pitching like so
insane
many
shit.
ideas in the group chat, and Tim's
Yeah,
like,
100%.
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Um, I just sort of need to see the visual of fucking Koloki holding Ivar of the Viking Raiders at gunpoint. Just give me that on a fucking random unleash, and I'll be so in.
It's gonna be so fire.
But genuinely, it caught me so off guard. But I'm very excited to see Tim actually get like a storyline, like I said, and I think this is gonna be really fun. And I'm excited to see this play out. I don't have too much to add about the promo itself. It was fine. But yeah, what did you think, Colt?
Koloki stole my gimmick. He stole my gimmick in the match at the fucking end. He did too many fucking uprisings. That's my shit. I
He
do the
did do
multiple
that,
power
yeah.
bombs. I do
That's a
the
great
fucking
point,
multiple power
actually.
bombs, not you. Just because
Also,
I steal your hell bent means you could steal my gimmick? Well, fuck you, man. What are we doing? What are we doing,
okay.
Koloki? You're gonna get
What
these
are we
fucking
doing?
hands soon, Koloki. You're gonna fucking get these hands soon. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, and I'm gonna give you the world record of Colt 45s. I gave Tim Smith 21.
Ooh.
You're gonna get 22. 22 Colt 45s
Boom!
coming your way. Ain't that
Rest in
right,
piss,
dog?
Koloki. Incoming. Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Fuck Koloki. That guy's a
Fuck
bitch.
Koloki. We hate
I
Koloki.
I also have my beef with Kaloki, you know, former tag partner of mine.
2-on-1
Uh,
handicap. We're gonna beat the shit out of him together. I'm gonna give him
the thing
Colt
is,
45.
Kaloki.
I'm gonna roll him to his feet. I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna like give him to you, and then you can hit like the Gonzo bomb, and then we could just like go
Fuck
back and
yeah,
forth doing Colt 45s and fucking the Gonzo bomb. Which is it the
yeah,
blessing
two
in disguise?
guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the blessing in
Colt
disguise.
45 blessing in disguise wombo combo.
The thing is, Kaloki's never been able to beat me 1-on-1, so you know, bring it, Kaloki. We'll fuck you up.
True.
Side tangent of all side tangents, but yeah, no, that was this was fun. This was a silly little thing, and it got a feud going. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything to add before we get on to our next one?
No, nothing much to add, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cover your solo cups because there ain't no party like a
Yeah.
DDD party because
DDD
DDD is fucking
party.
here in full flesh.
Hell yeah. Before we get into this, I just want to mention something Cade says in this. That DDD are back in full force. I mean, I guess fuck Bryce then. You know, he's still in jail.
Yeah.
This is very much not
Again.
full force, but I
It's
digress.
so funny because like Jacob Cage mentions multiple times that like he has like the money to fund like UXW and give them like a fucking flight to Britain for a fucking like Extreme Chaos Weekend show, but he can't use that money to like bail Bryce out of prison unless like
Yeah.
Bryce's sentencing is like no parole at all, like no chance parole. Like what a shitty friend
It was
Jacob
just a
Cage is.
DUI. It was just a DUI, wasn't it? I feel like it
Yeah,
can't be that severe.
yeah. Unless he like
Unless he
ran
like,
over a few people.
I was gonna say, unless he like John Jones someone, like hit a pregnant woman with his car.
Oh my God.
Um, but no, this was like another sort of feel good thing in the sense of it was similar to me and Doppel thing earlier. In like we had the feel good, and then we had Faywin come out and sort of add to it. But this was obviously the sort of opposite in the fact that Jacob Sterry comes out and he's like he's got a new haircut. He changed it like an hour before the show. Because do you wanna know a fun fact, Colt?
What?
Originally, I was going to be the one debuting the new mullet look after XC, but I didn't like the way it looked, and I didn't have the heart to tell Nat because she did a great job with it.
Yeah.
So I felt really bad. I don't know if Nat listens, but hi Nat, I'm so sorry for not telling you. So Jacob was also like he wanted to do it, so I'm like, you know what, go nuts. I sent it to him. He reshaded it. I love the way the skin looks. Honestly, I think it makes him look like so much more of a dickhead influence. He kind of looks like Logan Paul now.
Looks like little cumtism.
That's exactly what I said in the chat before. He looks like little cum. That's another thing for the thumbnail.
Jacob Little Cumtism Stary.
we got to start chanting that during the shows now.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, this is just like it was your ever DDD promo. So
I don't know, was
they
it?
have the it was. I feel like there was nothing. It was just a feel good promo. I don't know if there's anything super noteworthy
Are they having
in
feel
that
good
part.
promos on the average, Dobby?
Well, they're not having many promos on the average.
Yeah, so it's not a fucking average DDD. You fuck up the joke.
It
We
is.
gotta end the joke now. The
No,
joke's over.
no,
Fuck you.
no,
The
no.
joke's over. We're ending the
No,
joke.
it's not
We're
over.
coming up with a
It's
new
not
bit
over
now.
because they used to have promos, and it was your average DDD promo because this is what it was like.
That ain't your average DDD
Oh, it
promo.
is your
What the fuck are you
average.
talking about? Look who's in the ring. He just got his fucking job back. Everybody, it's a feel good time. You know, everybody's drinking fucking Foo-Aid. Like, what's average about that? That ain't fucking average. This is like once in a lifetime. This is special.
It's average in substance. It was average in substance. It was just an average promo. But then Jacob comes out, and I feel like this was one of Jacob's weaker promos. I feel it wasn't spectacular. I don't know. I feel like there was weirdly a lack of chemistry here. I don't know. I don't know if that was just me. Just in the fact that it's sort of I don't feel like Jacob bounced off any of the people here that well. I think it was a good promo, but like it wasn't Jacob's best work. I don't think personally. Not to say it was like bad, like I said, but I don't know. It didn't resonate with me tremendously, I guess. But then obviously Cage, you know, in his little pre-record, I had to like turn this up in post. Thankfully, Jacob like kept his little comments brief, so I could like. The funny thing when I was editing the show itself was I was looking at the audio of the segment, and there was like little spikes of loud audio because Jacob was obviously doing it live, so I knew exactly where to chop it to like turn up Cage's audio,
Yeah.
which is very helpful. Thanks, Jacob. But this was like, it was an okay call out. I think the match itself will be funner. I feel like,
Funner? That's
is
not a
it?
fucking word. What are you talking about?
Why are you bullying me today?
What the
What
fuck is wrong?
snapped? Why are
Funner?
you
There's
bullying?
no such
More
thing as fucking
fun,
funner.
more fun.
Yeah,
You're
more fun.
welcome.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I feel like this is
Bitch.
it's a fun match, but I feel like in prestige of the world title, it's not the direction it needs to go in. To be brutally honest,
I think
I
this
feel
is gonna
like
lead to like a Jacob Cage heel turn. I think this is what's gonna like be that driving force. Like,
maybe,
I think Jacob, like, we
yeah,
all know Jacob's gonna fucking win the match. There's no fucking way. But like, I
yeah,
think Jacob Cage is gonna like lose this, and he's gonna start like losing his mind, and then he joins Breezy in the SCS. We're gonna get fucking heel Jacob Cage in the SCS. He's gonna drink
that'll be
fucking
fun.
beers with Breezy, and he's gonna come out to "I'll Whip Your Head Boy" by 50 Cent, and the world will be fucking right.
I think that will be like a fun thing if it happens. But I just feel like I don't know. I feel like the MWC World Title just it took a step down again. I feel like going from main eventing night one with Rich and Jimmy, which was a great match as well,
Yeah,
to
fantastic,
sort of
phenomenal.
going to like DDD. In the fact that I feel like DDD, as good characters they are generally like mid card. I feel like Cage had a great showing, and I think like a step up is right for him, but maybe not immediately to the world title. I feel like it sort of is not the right move immediately. Maybe I'm in the minority there. I don't know. I love Cage. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like it's not great for the prestige of the belt, which I feel like has been called into question recently anyway. I just feel like it's not a great step in the direction. I feel like Spotlight is on it has the Spotlight has like a lot of interesting stuff in the fact that it just had like what I'd probably say is match of the year with Doppel versus Feywind. Um, Obviously Cass has the case, Doppel's the champion now. I feel like there's a lot more interest in the Spotlight division right now than the prospect of what's going to happen with the MWC for me. Which is I don't know how I feel about that personally. I don't know. It's cool, I guess, but I feel like if it does lead to like a longer form story, I'm not super on board. I think Jacob needs like big prestigious opponents to make the belt feel important again.
A lick.
That's my take on it. Yeah, Liku. Give a Liku the shot.
No, because like I actually do think that like I thought like it was gonna be a Luku that steps up to Jacob, and they would have had like that world
Yeah.
title match. Because they have
Yeah,
faced
no,
before in like Takeoff. Like I
they have,
remember it
yeah.
was the week before House Party, and it was like Jacob versus Aliku for the Spotlight title, and then like Jacob, obviously wins that match. But I feel like with Aliku coming back and like immediately challenging for that world title, there'd be that like high stakes, like that big like babyface story of like, yeah, Luca's gonna fucking win. Luca's gonna win the world title. He's gonna get his job back and the world title for DDD. I feel like there'd be a lot more intrigue there, but I'm not opposed to having it being Jacob Cage because I think like that's obviously like, Jacob's gonna fucking win the match, and then like that'll lead into
Yeah.
like the end of DDD when like Jacob Cage turns fucking heel, joins Breezy in the SCS, they drink fucking Stella, and he comes out the "I'll Whip Your Head Boy" by 50 Cent, and it's gonna be the world's gonna be fucking perfect, the grass will be green, it'll be blooming, the sky's gonna be blue as ever, no, not a cloud in sight, no clouds at all, clear skies ahead, baby.
He really likes his potential new SCS. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the way I see it is Aliku versus Jacob is the sort of it makes more sense, but I feel like Cage versus Sterry is the better quality of match you could book here. I feel like Wolf is too fresh, as good as Wolf has gotten, and he sort of needs to sort of refresh himself before he was, like even in big consideration for it. I feel like Aliku, he did have a great match with Kaloki, but I feel like he sort of still isn't as good in ring as Cage is, and then obviously Cage is Cage, and he's been doing well. I think he is underrated, but I feel like maybe it's too much to push him immediately to the world. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I do really hope we get to see that Cage heel turn, especially with like a lot of new sort of surroundings in the fact we have like face Feywind, heel Avery, heel Shift. I just want to see some like more dynamic change, and I want to see the fucking the landscape shift a bit. But no, I think this is fine. I don't have too much else to add. I feel like it was fine. It was alright. I'm curious to see where it goes after and where Jacob goes after, presuming he walks out world champion. But yeah, I
As
feel
he
like
doesn't, Jacob Cage just wins the world title.
that'll be fucking nuts.
That'd be fun.
Um,
but like,
that'd be really funny.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious to see where like especially Steri goes after this. Whereas Brooksing. But no, it was fine. It was alright. I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything to add before we move on to our next thing?
No complaints, but great promo from these two. But an even greater promo, probably in my opinion, the greatest promo
Yeah,
Avery Burns.
Avery Byrne. This was Avery backstage with Mr. Knock. Hello, Knock. And this was a fantastic promo, like you said, and Avery is a fantastic promo in general. This was like a sort of I guess sort of the first promo as like upper heel and like lost to Avery. Obviously, she had the one where she was like calling out Mist and stuff, but this was just sort of Avery in her the way I like to see it. I'm presuming this was the way she was going with it. I don't know. It felt very, Hangman to me, Hangman Page.
I get
In
the
the
vibe
fact
from
that
this too, because I think Faywin
in
said on like the last podcast you guys did that like Avery and Faywin is kind of like the MWA's Hangman and Swerve. So I really like that dynamic a
agree
lot.
with that. Yeah, I think I really like the way she went about this as well. Like I said a bit earlier in the show, Avery says everyone on this in this company is a empty-headed dumb fuck, fucking dumb fuck. My bad. Except for me, because I was the only one to call out Feywind and question his sort of sudden shift. And I feel like that plays exactly into the sort of Hangman dynamic I just mentioned, in the fact of Hangman was a justified heel in real life. Swerve broke into his house, was there like with his kid in the nursery, and like the fans still cheered him. So Hangman rightfully pissed off about that. Thinks the fans are fickle. Avery's in the same boat. And I think it's a really good way. I think that's a perfect way to take a heel Avery. And I think this was like a fantastic promo. The emotion she showed, it was amazing, as per usual with an Avery promo. But generally, I just think she killed it as per usual. I think I agree with you in the sentiment that Avery is one of, if not the best promo we have ever. Avery is a fucking fantastic promo. And this was no different. She did a fantastic job here. She called the camera close to her. I was the camera, hello. And she just sort of mentioned it in, and she sort of, like, we haven't really mentioned it so much as this was also a Feywind call out. She said she wants to make Feywind cry. She wants to fucking brutalize Feywind, because Feywind has tormented her for so long. And I know I said on the last podcast that I think it's a bit soon. I still feel like it is maybe a bit soon, but I do get it from the Avery character standpoint. I just do hope it gets dragged out a little bit more to like maybe like two match program, and has like a massive end in like. I think this is like such a big feud at this point. This could be like the co-main event of Heatwave. And that's like their big sort of not cool, because they will revisit it, just in the fact that they are, as Avery likes to say, wrestling soulmates, and it will be revisited one day. This feels like a match you can sort of have a call off for now, and then if everything works out, that could be an XC10 like huge marquee match, and that is the official end where they sort of like reconcile. But like Avery and Feywind, it always delivers no matter what, so I'm very excited for the prospect of it. And I'm extra excited to see, like I said, face Feywind, heel Avery, and just sort of see how that dynamic plays into the match, I guess. But yeah, as always, incredible promo from Avery. she just keeps hitting the mark. She's incredible. Avery's fantastic. I have not got much else to add. What did you think of this, Colt?
Okay, so I have a lot to say here. I said this 1,000 times. I've said it a million times, and I'm gonna say it a million more times. I already said with Steve, like, my top 5 ever. Avery would be on the top of that list. I think she's the greatest person I've ever seen in Minecraft, ever. And I think this promo solidifies it. I've said it with Avery promos before. Avery is probably like the greatest promo of all time in Minecraft. Because there is nobody, not even me, not anybody in the MWA that can replicate like her style of promo, like have that emotion and just like
Yeah,
make you feel. Cause like me, like whenever she cuts a promo and she starts like yelling and she starts like having all that emotion, like it just comes out of her. Like I'm like glued to my seat. I'm like entranced by an Avery Burns promo, and like this is no
yeah,
different. Cause you know, like we said it about Tara with like the way she does like her promos and stuff, like how like not everyone is a grand slam, but it feels like every Avery Burns promo is a grand slam. Like they just keep getting
yeah,
better and better. Like they don't get weak at all. Like they're all consistently like fucking phenomenal promos and a constant highlight of each and every show.
yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I feel like it's been proven time and time again. Avery could do the best promo work with like even like nothing. I feel like a good example is the Sean Anderson feud from Takeoff, where everyone likes to call back to like that one segment where I believe Manny just didn't have notes for it and sort of struggled. I feel like Avery was just like still on her mark so well in that promo, and that just sort of is a testament to where if you're working with Avery, sure you may like get left behind, but that's not a bad thing because getting left behind by like one of the best promos is something you're bound to be like. It's bound to happen. Like think about it from the fucking like real life perspective of like John Cena versus most people. Fine speech. That's how it feels with Avery sometimes, and that's not a bad thing. That's just a testament to how good of a promo Avery is. And I feel like not everyone's going to be able to like live up to that, and I feel like it's like I said, not a bad thing. Avery's just that good of a promo that it's sort of hard to keep up with her sometimes. But yeah, Avery is just a sensational promo, great in ring worker.
Phenomenal.
And Avery is probably I'd say probably if not top, then minimum top 3 feuds I want right now before I retire. Like I need to
I
work with
still want
Avery
my third
before I
match.
retire.
I need to complete that trilogy.
Avery is like a dream opponent. I really want to work a whole story with Avery. I think that would be so much fun. I would get fucking massacred on the mic, don't get me wrong, but I would have a great time with it. And obviously, me and Avery, a lot of the wrestling I idolize, Avery obviously idolizes, and I think that could like benefit like a match itself really, really well.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like really, really fun. And yeah, that's Avery is obviously just one of the best people on the roster, and I really want to get a chance to work one of those work a feud with her sometime, and I think that would be fun. But we'll give our closing thoughts. But it's funny that I mentioned dream opponents because I had one tonight. But yeah, no, this was absolutely sensational by Avery as per usual.
True.
I wouldn't have expected anything less from her. Do you have any closing thoughts, Colt, before we get on to our main event
I
tonight?
wanted to bring up that point you said about like her and Phelan being a Heatwave co-main. I would
Yeah,
disagree. I would say this would be the
really,
main, but
maybe. Yeah, no, I
not
can
in the
see that
main
as well.
like the advertised main event. But I would say this would be
Unsanctioned.
an unsanctioned match between
I
Heatwave.
see that. I see that.
Yeah,
I'm
have
I'm
this
with
be
that
like
actually.
not like the like in a sense it is the main event because it's the final match of the show, but
Yeah,
like not the advertised main event, but it's like it's unsanctioned, meaning that like it's not
I'm
gonna
with you
count
on
on the
that actually.
records, all that kind of shit.
No, I think this is the perfect feud for that. I agree with
Yeah,
that actually. I think that's a
this
great
should be
call.
the unsanctioned match for Heatwave, and I think they're gonna
Yeah,
fucking kill it. If that is the match, it might be. I don't know. I don't fucking run the MWA, but I'm hoping it is, and I hope that like
yeah,
I'm hoping for unsanctioned that Heatwave. I'm hoping this goes the over 60 minutes. Don't ask me about that. Yeah, that's all. That's my thoughts.
The way
Oh, what?
before I was gonna say, I think the way I'd love to see it done is um at 12 year they have like a match, but it ends in like a no contest because Avery like can't beat the 5 count because she's like trying to murder Faywin. Faywin gets the win. Like Faywin gets his win because of Avery like getting DQ'd. And that's obviously that doesn't resolve anything for them. They're still at each other's throats. It comes up to Cruz, and Cruz is like, "Look, I am sick and tired of you two being at each other's throats. I cannot sanction this in good faith. But if you want to deal with each other at Heatwave after the show ends, you can go out there and you can beat the shit out of each other once and for all.
Yeah.
But it won't be blood on my hands because it's unsanctioned. Go nuts." And then that's what it leads to.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go about it. They have a match at 12 year.
Yeah.
Avery gets herself disqualified, and then unsanctioned at Heatwave. I think that's the way to go about.
Yeah.
Best thing.
I think Avery winning, I think there would be like the ideal parallel of the story is if Avery is the one to beat Faywin in the unsanctioned match. She sits there after beating Faywin and goes, "Why doesn't it feel right?"
This time.
And we got a new bit on the podcast. No, but I feel like that sort of Avery sort of Faywin sort of found how it feels right this time. Benal. But Avery being in the position now where she sort of has to go through that and is like, I finally got my massive win back over Feywind. What do I do now? And it sort of leaves her directionless and sort of in a weird daze. And I think that sort of like benefits Avery in the fact that she has a new character to explore, and it sort of is a good, if like not a big break for that feud, a complete end for that feud. And it's just like the end of one of the best sagas we have. Yeah, they'll fight forever. Let's be real. But I think that parallel of Avery sort of going down the same path of insanity into the not feeling correct or right, Benal, is like the perfect parallel for that feud, and I really, really hope that's where it goes, because that would be like unbelievable storytelling, and I would absolutely adore that. But yeah, I think there's so much on the horizon for that feud, especially that I'm really, really excited to see. But yeah, I think that sums up everything for that. Anything to add before we get into the main?
Nothing to add, but it's time for the fucking main event. It's you come out, and obviously Equinox is not fucking here, so they're gonna need a good replacement.
Yeah, I was planned to face EQ. We did not mention that I was planned to be facing EQ in the national title tournament here. But like we said, EQ quit the company earlier, so the board had to work overtime and find a replacement for me, and they did. Continue, Colt.
And your opponent is Misty.
Yeah.
The dream. What's her fucking the dream catcher?
Dream catcher, yeah.
I don't know what that means, but it goes hard.
I don't, but it is cool. I before we get into this, I just want to say I had a fantastic time all week working people, saying I've scripted with Nat. Knowing full well I was working Misty the entire week, and I was being advertised as EQ. I worked like so many people. I worked Steve. I worked Rory because I said to Rory, "Are you excited for me versus EQ?" Knowing full well Rory is like Misty's #1 fan, and knowing Misty was going to like main event with me the next day. And then when Rory said they couldn't make it, I was very sad because I knew they would have wanted to be there for the Misty match.
Yeah.
But no, I had a fun time working everyone. But I had an even funner time.
That would not be working.
We did, yeah.
Self-explanatory.
I had I had a fantastic time scripting this match, working this match, and just like everything around it. I'm being so serious when I say Mist is a future world champion, and there is no doubt in my mind about that. I have
said this so many fucking times. Mist is a future world champ, spotlight champ, whatever fucking world title. She will have a phenomenal fucking reign. Like the fact she is learning this quick while being like a few months into her career is like stellar work. Honestly,
it's unbelievable. Obviously, like this is I never really understood it with Vanish. This is what I think people felt like with Vanish, in the fact that Mist is like next to nobody I've ever seen since maybe Kong. that's like picked up this quickly, and I feel like she's even picked it up quicker than Kong ever did. I feel like Kong took a while to get going, but like for Miss to be this good this quickly, sort of shows she is a prodigy of Minecraft wrestling, and she did fucking fantastic. She was like so calm in the call. She did amazing in the match itself. You know, she was great help in scripting, and even after the fact, even after scripting, she DM'd me and she was sort of, you know, picking my brain, and she was asking me about advice for scripting and sort of, you know, tape studying and sort of getting to know all this stuff in the sense of like how to do stuff in Minecraft wrestling. And it's just sort of everything sort of congealed together, and it just sort of makes this like you couldn't ask for a better prospect. And I feel like if Nuck and Taco somehow manage to fumble Mist, they will forever regret it, because she is. There is people who have been here 8 years that I've worked with that have been like less competent than Mist, and that's not to like be an insult. Mist is just like unbelievably like so good in the ring, so good at scripting. She's the full package already, and she only keeps improving, which is like such a testament to how good she really is. But yeah, like I said, I had so much fun working this match, and you know, scripting this match, and this was fantastic. I had so much fun. But I was in it, so Colt, I will leave it to you to give an actual review of it.
It's no surprise that this was match of the night. You know, it was kind of like the it's really not just no surprise. No insult to like Koloki or Steve or Slick Bait playing the part of Adam, but
Yeah.
yeah, this was just a fucking great match. Like, I loved it so much. I love that, like, Misty again is going after like the arm, because like I said on
Yeah.
commentary with like she went after Avery's arm in that first match where she like got the really shocking win. But
Yeah.
I really like that she like went after your like injured arm the entire time. Uh
Mhm.
I think Misty's doing really good with the heel work, and I think like some of like Avery's like limb work offense is really like rubbing off on her, which I think is a phenomenal thing
Yeah.
by all means. Um yeah, so I like the story being told there. Yeah, like it's just a really great match. Like I know I keep saying it a lot. It's not because like I forget like a lot of the shit that happened in the match. It kind of is because of that, honestly. But what it is, it's just like it's just a really great match. I was entertained throughout. Throughout it, I really loved calling it right down the middle. And yeah, Misty getting the win is big in this tournament.
Yeah.
And I really like that you know, Misty advancing in the tournament. Like obviously like I know who's winning the fucking tournament. I don't think that's a shock to anybody, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe Mist will win. You know, maybe I'm gonna
Really?
face Mist at the 12 here. You know,
That'd be a banger.
Misty could very well get the win in this fucking tournament. You know, yeah, it could be
That'd be
anybody
cool.
else, but you know, it could be fucking Misty. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
telling you anything you don't already know, but yeah,
Mm.
if it is Misty, you know, I'm gonna have a good match with her. You know, if
Yeah.
it's fucking, you know, if it's Schiff, I'm gonna have a good match with him. If it's Fox, gonna have a good match. If it's Kyle, gonna have a good match. If it's Slick, gonna have a good match. If it's Steve, gonna have a good match. You know what I mean?
Steve
Like whoever walks in,
Steve is my prediction.
Steve. Like you know, whoever
I think
like,
Steve goes all the way.
like whoever like wins this fucking tournament, I'm gonna have a great fucking match with them. And you know, if Misty is the one winning this fucking match, you know, I know who's winning, and chances are it may be fucking Mist. And if Mist wins
Yeah.
this fucking tournament, then you know what I mean? Mist is gonna do big fucking things. You know, challenging me for my belt if that were to happen. So yeah, just really great
Luck
shit
with.
from you two here. There's really nothing to complain
Thank you.
about. Um yeah, I liked it. I like the left arm offense you gave, Dobby. I think that's one of the things I
Yeah.
remember. Like you using your left arm because you can't really use your right arm. And also like when you got that bulldog choke and you're trying to like connect your arms, but you can't because like
Yeah.
yeah, your right
My
arm's
hand
just
is
fucked up. Yeah,
broken.
your hand's fucked up. But yeah, just really great shit all around, you know? No complaints at all. I think the right person won, honestly. I think Misty, like,
Yeah.
getting that win over, like, not 100% Dobby was the right call. So, yeah. Just all I gotta
That's
say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really like the way this was handled. I think this was not only a way to give Miss this like huge win that benefits her way more than it would me, but it was also done in a way where I don't get like damaged at all because I was like not only was I not 100%, but it's been like the way Miss has been built in kayfabe is like she has been built up as this like absolute limb targeting monster, and it just sort of keeps working for her. And I think it just sort of makes her look like an absolute massive threat, and it sort of is her playing up to this prospect role, both in and out of kayfabe. And I think she did a great job here. I what's it called? This was prior to the XC match. This was even prior to the go home to XC. I said to Nuck, I had an idea for like my post XC stuff where whatever angle I was working, I go into it with a broken hand after the slick match, and he's like, he was all on board for it. That's why the go home, if you recall, Slick came out pretending to have a broken hand, and it ended up being like a precursor to him actually breaking my hand at XC. And I think this was obviously it was in our script. Missed wins, she targets the hand throughout, and I just think this was like not only booked perfectly from Nock and Taka, but I think we also did a really good job of scripting it to where Mist looked like an absolute viable threat, but also I looked like I still had that strong veteran instinct, and with the left arm bulldog choke, I feel like if it was like a right armed one, it like in kayfabe, I think I would have got the win. But just the fact that I sort of didn't have all my tools at my disposal, it just sort of gave Mist everything she had to sort of get that win over me. And I think this was it was something I was pretty insistent on, is that I wanted the finish to be a non-bolded like submission of some type, because I feel like if there's any time you're going to win with an unbolded move, it's targeting like a absolutely like decimated limb, and I think it just makes total sense for the way it was done as well. Like more of the damage was done to my hand, of course, but also like the way I tapped a bit early because I didn't know if Miss was doing the slash me. But like as well as the Kimura, she was like prying my fingers back like Pete Dunne style. And obviously with a broken hand, that's like unbearable pain. So I feel like it's not a boulder move, it's not a finisher, but it doesn't mean it can't finish a match,
Yeah.
And I think like Mist, obviously no one really has hand moves as like specials. So we just sort of had to like make do, and I think it's way more beneficial that she tapped me out, because not only does it make me look strong tapping out to a big like to a sort of move that's targeting my broken hand, but also it's like it just sort of makes her look like a absolute like really crafty wrestler, and it's sort of like really versatile in the fact that her special moves might not work. She's not going to have the greatest of luck pinning a former like world champion and a former Iron Man champion. But like working him down to a submission where she's working the bad limb of him, it makes total sense, I think. And I was really proud of how this not only match story played out, but the finish played out. And I'm very happy with this match. Like I said, Mist is incredible to work with. If you haven't got to work with her, I don't envy you, because Mist is well, I do envy you in the fact that you have a great thing coming, but also I don't envy you in the fact that you've not gotten to experience that yet. But yeah, like I said, she is taking the list quicker than anyone I've ever seen, and that it literally might be including Kong, because she's a prodigy. She is so good at this, and I don't have enough good things to say. And she's humble, which is like the perfect thing on top of everything.
Me.
She is quite literally the full package. I couldn't ask of anything more from her, just in the sense of being like this prospect. She's fantastic. But yeah, that's all I really have to add from being in the match point of view. Do you have any final thoughts before we end this out, Colt?
I'm really glad that Kimura Lock is like protected, is like a protected move, and it's not like easily like.
Yeah, that was for my body saints. I love my Saints. But yeah, no, I think this was a great match. I had so much fun with it. I really hope I get to work Mist down the line, maybe at a pay-per-view, so we can do some more cool stuff. But But yeah, that's all I got to say. Have you got any closing remarks generally before we close out this show, Colt?
Nope, that was Unleashed, and it was a great fucking show.
It was very fun show post XC. I'm very excited for what lies ahead for the 12 year. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that it has been hinted at already, and a lot of stuff that will be built when everyone's sort of available. I feel like there was a lot of people not super free this week, either in kayfabe or out of kayfabe, I guess. You know, with like Cass missing, and then all like the Gossamer people in the hospital still because they got fucked up. But I feel like when we have like the full roster at our disposal, I feel like things are only just going to keep improving, and I'm very excited generally for the future of Minecraft Wrestling, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. But yeah, I think that's a great place to finally close out the podcast. Thank you all for joining me and Colt. Even though there was only two of us, I think we had a good little yap sesh today as per usual.
We did.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me, Colt.
Yeah, real pleasure. Hope we get Jacob on the next fucking episode.
We need Jacob
This
back.
was gonna be the three of us. It was gonna be the three
Yeah, it's gonna
ponies,
be
but
the
unfortunately, that
boys.
was not the case. Which is sad.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I had a great time. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. We will see you next time for the next episode of Unleashed. Goodbye.